Today is ours. Let's live it. And love is strong. Let's give it. A song can help. Let's sing it. And peace is dear. Let's bring it. The past is gone. Don't rue it. Our work is here. Let's do it. The world is wrong. Let's right it. The battle is hard. Let's fight it. The road is rough. Let's clear it. The future fast. Don't fear it. Is faith asleep? Let's wake it. Because today is ours. Let's take it.
Hey, beautiful people. This is your girl, Ariel Dominique, and I am really, really excited about this episode. Episode 13, Love is Still Dope. So I really wanted to have a couples night, and it's 5 couples, including me and my boyfriend, and we just had a good time eating, drinking, laughing, playing games, and I think being around other couples helps you just process. Sometimes you need to discuss, and that is how we learn, and that is how we kind of find ourselves, through observing and through listening and experiencing as well. And so we had a good time. Some of the games that we played before we recorded the podcast, like, we cut up, and so I highly suggest, if you have a couples night, to plan food, drinks, and games ahead of time. But we played some fun stuff. One of the games, we were blindfolded and had to draw our partner. Another game was coming up with a hashtag for your bae. What else did we do? We did he said, she said. So it was a quiz, and the couple that won, or the couples that had the most matches, would win, and 2 of the couples were like the top 2. What else did we do? It was so much fun. Of course, we played Black Card Revoked after the podcast, and I think there was something else I'm probably missing, but oh yeah, we also had a girls versus guys game as well, to come up with the most first date ideas. So yeah. So what you'll hear throughout the podcast is, whenever I'm pulling a name or you hear a hashtag, that is because before the night really got into it, and before we got too deep into drinking, I had everybody come up with a hashtag for bae. And so I pulled names based on the hashtags to see who would start off the conversation topic. So that's what you'll hear. So anyway, I'm just going to jump into this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Please share our podcast with your friends, your family. This is a great podcast episode for couples as well as for singles. And it's also just a great freaking episode in general. So thank you for listening. And please follow at sayitwithyourbreasts, and on Twitter at SIWYB Podcast. And check out the website, www.sayitwithyourbreasts.com. All right, let's do this. Okay.
Not an Android, but
so we're just going to share our fun stories and advice, and how do you say
Come on, DC.
Communion.
I don't know how to
Love communion. No, like a community.
Amor
of the
de.
couples.
Amor de.
So, that is why I did this. To see who will be answering whatever question it is. So fun.
It's a
okay.
setup.
It is always a setup.
It's right.
Okay, so first question is first topic, I guess. Going to bed angry, yay or nay? So who is starting this conversation? Close my eyes and pick one.
Or pick 3.
I know, I was about to say, wait, what's going on?
Pick 3.
Okay, hashtag Liverpool.
niggas? No. They play in the morning by DTW.
Nice. So, what do you think? Going to bed angry? Is that a yay or nay?
Although it's tempting, it's definitely a nay. I think there are too many negative feelings that you just like fester over, and but by the time you wake up in the morning, man, you know it's just something that you'll develop so many different scenarios over that you may not even be at the core issue anymore. So I think times that we've been angry at each other, I haven't even been able to go to sleep, and I've been like, oh, she has to know how I feel
right now.
Right now. And so, although I've been tempted to not want to talk to her, I think it's important for people to get to the core of the issue before it gets to anything that becomes vitriol or too just too vicious to ever solve the issue.
I agree.
Yeah.
All day long.
I don't know.
Actually,
I
go to bed angry. I'm guilty.
I know. Like I feel like, babe, you know how I feel. I'll see you in the morning.
Right? You know my heart.
We both the same way. Like,
I do. I go to bed angry, but I don't wake up
with
angry.
everything you said, though.
I do.
I agree with everything you said.
But you know what? Sleeping on it, I don't wake up angry.
That's the thing. We wake up.
I
can't speak for him, but I wake up and I feel completely differently.
Yeah.
Now I will say this: it does depend on how you hold a grudge. For me, I've told Lil Danny C a lot of times, like, yo, I'm legit like a grudge holder. Like I hold grudges from like 4th grade. Like if I see that
Me
person,
too. I'm not gonna lie.
It's on site.
You took my 4th grade
on site, nigga. That was my pencil. Fuck that fine to keep it.
And they're like, "Who are you?"
You took my Wildcat.
My name was engraved in that shit, nigga.
So no, I mean, but I've been very honest about that, and I think it's important for me. And she's been definitely flexible and being very communicative about that.
So Lil Danny C, are you a go to bed angry person? Like, how does that work?
I'm not. I'm probably going to be the type to let you know how I feel before I go to bed. So bluntly, tell you how I feel. If not, just be willing to really talk it through. I guess we've had this conversation for the past couple of days of just the way in which I look at the world, the way in which I look at relationships, and the idea that like all of this could end in an hour. We could all not be here tomorrow. And like I really take that approach to a lot of my interactions with the people in life. And so I just don't I guess I just look at it as just like if he wasn't here in the next couple of hours, or if I woke up the next morning and he wasn't here, is that worth being angry about, or is that really worth it? And so it's something that I should, and I know like people say that, like, is it really worth it? But it's something that I truly think about and truly live out, I think, and you could speak to it if I don't, correct me if I don't, that like, is it really worth being angry about? So I guess I am very selective about the things in which I even get angry about. I'm selective in that.
Ooh.
Thankfully.
That's okay. See, I hadn't even thought about it.
Yeah. I'm very mindful about the things in which I'm going to decide to choose anger.
I guess that's true though, because in the moment you kind of do ask yourself, is it even worth it right now? Like, is this really that?
Absolutely.
Serious?
I'm learning that. It's like you checking yourself before you even allow something to get into y'all, and if you do, absolutely.
I'm like Joe Budden. I'm mad about everything. If I don't like it right now, I'm gonna be upset for the whole day.
Yeah. The whole day?
When you come home and I'll be like, hey babe. Like, yeah.
That happened?
Yeah, I'll be mad for the whole day.
I get it. I
I'm an
totally
old
get
nigga.
it.
I mean,
old
young man.
You really are.
Did I say a Negro?
That's true. So what about the rest of us? Like, what do you think? Going to bed angry. Is it?
Yeah, are you choosing couples?
I don't think you should, but I know that I do. And I like what you said about like picking what you get angry about, and I can do better at that for sure. Like things that are like, was it really that big of a?
I knew it. Oh my bad. I was just waiting for her to hear it.
I was agreeing from my perspective. The same thing. No.
I know you
I was thinking about for myself as well doing the same thing.
Right. I can definitely just stop and pause and give the benefit of the doubt. Or, I know that anger is a secondary emotion. And usually anger is just the way you're showing how you really feel deep down inside. So how do I get to what I really feel instead of showing anger and just, hitting... Oh, I can't say do that. It's a podcast. Battling it out instead of really understanding what I really feel deep down and talking about it in a constructive way that'll help.
Yeah, she.
I definitely like what I heard. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's the key. That's the key to it as well. That I think is very important to me is if we're gonna have those conversations, they have to be productive conversations. So, I would rather once again get to the heart of the matter, but then also it's also to an extent about the way in which you do it. So it's not always about what you say; it's how you say it. So. There's also, for me, it's almost like there has to be a balance between me fully expressing my most truest feelings and emotions on the matter at hand versus me communicating it in a way that I know she can receive it. So I have to balance between those two. So I have to make sure that I'm getting out how I feel, but at the same time, I can't say it in a way to where I know she's just not going to receive it. I know her buttons. I know her triggers. Mm-hmm. So it's about making sure that I do it in a way that she can actually hear what I'm saying. And then hopefully in the same way, she can do the same. So
that's real.
And I'm sure it takes humility to actually kind of put your feelings aside and be like, this is not how she's going to receive it.
Absolutely. It's before I try to address or approach her about something, I need to check myself first. Wow. It's almost like I have to filter out my own ego and then come to the table. Hey, this is what I really did. Like how do we build? But at the same time, then there's maybe the pettiness in King Jaffe Kimbu that is we're not going to even have this conversation tonight. You know what? You turn on your side, I'm about to turn on my side.
I feel like it's I'm a pettiness. I'll be it's true. That's so true.
Has everybody watched the interview with Jay-Z he did the other day?
I'm gonna watch it.
I have not seen it. Don't spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil it for you. But one of the things he said, he was like, "Yeah, we go to counseling. You know what I'm saying? Because when you got money and you got issues,
why not?
You pay somebody to listen.
That could be a date, right?
That's great.
That's a good date. First date, not a first date. Lord,
everybody write this down on your hand tonight.
Hey, nice to meet you. Let's go to therapy.
Right.
Go to therapy.
Right. But
coming from the psychologist.
But one of the things he said about his growth as a person was being able to understand what everybody else is going through. So if somebody comes at you is like, yo, I hate you, you smell bad, you're a loser. Whatever they're going through and whatever they're throwing at you, you just got to understand that person has been through something that day. Yeah. Or they went through something
over there.
Yeah, that made them feel that way to say a thing to you or whatever it may be.
Not really about you.
It's not about you.
And you can't allow that short interaction, that 5 seconds, to override that whole 24 hours they just had.
Right.
And you can't, you did. I think about, I saw an interview with Gary Vee on the Breakfast Club, and he kept going back to this thing about how, 97% of the time, most people, they waste that time. They waste it on dumb shit. And he kept going back to this example of one of his employees. She was like, Karen's trying to ruin me. She was like, no. You didn't get promoted because Karen is sabotaging. He was like, you fucking suck. That's why you're not
and you too worry about Karen to realize what you're doing wrong.
Karen about her business. In terms of relationships, and I tell them this all the time. I tell my friends this, that for me, it's always about the relationship, which is not about his ego or my ego, but what we decided to create together.
Yeah.
And that's his own separate entity. And so for me, it's always about protecting that. That there is nothing that I ever want, whether it be my ego, myself, whatever, my dreams, sometimes even, to get in the way of that. Yeah. And that is what becomes the priority. Yeah. And so if it means that I need to check protect myself.
Right.
And like even in terms of our dreams, like that's something that I think that Lawrence and I are like working on is the fact that he has dreams. I have dreams.
Go to the White House, bitch.
Yeah, like, and I have no desire to go there. And also, I am in the process of deciding that I am open to being somewhere elsewhere than home because I am committed to this larger goal.
Yeah.
I recognize that he has dreams to be elsewhere.
That's real.
Yeah.
Because we're going to vote for Lawrence in a couple of years.
I will vote for Lawrence right now.
Right now.
Please.
Alcohol in my system and everything. So then how does that work with putting let's talk about that, like putting your dreams or your career or your aspirations, when you were maybe either single or maybe just in an earlier stage of your relationship together. How does that work when you are now together? How do you balance what you want to do, what they want to do, what both of you want to do?
Man,
Oh, wait, time.
Oh, is there time?
I forgot about these. Hashtag Dill Marby Mark. Dill Marley Mark.
Dear Marky Mark.
Dear
Lil
Lil Marky Mark. Lil Marky Mark.
What's going on here? You should pull someone else. Share the.
Put it
But
back
wait,
in there.
explain.
Lil
Dear Marky
Yeah,
Mark. Is that like
Say Lil.
So
Lil
similar
Marky
to what
Mark.
we were talking about, I actually listened to this Far Right podcast to kind of get my perspective on politics.
That's great.
And so basically, although knowing that I'm progressive, I try to listen to this Far Right podcast and know what they're talking about. And his name is Mark Levin. Hopefully he doesn't get play off of this podcast.
Right.
But he has a couple million listeners, and it's kind of like I'd be one of them. But just to see how he spins issues, how he tries to talk to them, and how we got to the point where he really drives the administration that we have, and why we can't talk to like far right conservatives or the evangelicals, if you will. And so she's been open enough to kind of understand that about me. And so we kind of joke around and make the voice, Mark, oh my gosh, first time, long time listener, first time caller. So put that back in there.
Lil Marky Mark.
Okay, I guess I'll put it back, but that was really good. Okay, let's see. Which one is this? Hashtag, see, you gotta understand.
See what you gotta understand.
You understand?
I know this dude.
Right.
Yes.
You got a good idea, but what you gotta
But
understand.
let me explain to you something. See,
Love
but
that.
see what you gotta understand is.
Juicy in your feelings? You in your feelings?
No.
So what do you think? What do you think, Sid? Like balancing your dreams, your goals.
Yeah, I think
goals, couple goals.
I think it's our dreams now. Right. And so whenever it's a question of there's a conflict between family and aspiration or career or relationship and aspiration, I think we kind of come back to that. What do we want? Like, what are we working for? And so it comes down to that, really, just kind of on the day-to-day, both long-term and short-term. Is this what we both want? Is this what we're both working for? Okay, well, what are you willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to sacrifice? Can we come to an agreement on that?
That's hard.
That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It is. It's really hard. But those are conversations that have to happen, and you just have to be on the same page. And it's no longer my goals, your goals. It's our goals.
Which is why it's really important to find somebody that understands.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you have like non-negotiables, that's something that should be talked about at the beginning of your dating stage. Like before Kimball and I were ever dating, I saw that he was into music. I saw his talent. I saw his drive. So now that we're together and he has to go to the studio or he has to do these things or he's going to this show, that's like she said, that's our thing now.
Yeah.
And even if I'm not there,
Yeah.
I'm not harping on him for going, or I'm not
Yeah.
harping on him for this weeknight and coming in too late because I signed up for that. Before KJ ever came around, he knew I want a huge family. I want 5 kids. I told him that ahead of time, right? And that's something that became our thing, and now we have one of the
Once
5.
you sign up for
right?
it.
So it's just like also if it's like a goal of yours that you have personally before entering a relationship, you have to have the balls enough to talk to whoever you think you want to be serious with about those non-negotiables and decide, are they really a non-negotiable? And if this person cannot bend, be ready to let it go, because if you try to stay in it too long, and then they told you they're not bending, it's just going to come to a head later on and mess something up.
Yep.
And so,
And
you
ruin that
have to talk
relationship
about
with
those
that
things.
person.
You have to communicate about those things.
That's real.
That doesn't mean it's not tough sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, most times it is going to be tough.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, it's necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if ultimately you know what you want, and you know that ultimately we're all on the same page, these are little things, you know? Coming home late's a little thing. Working a little more is a little thing.
Why are you?
And it's not just him. It's not just
I
him.
work long hours.
He works long hours,
Yeah.
but I mean, last year was me. I worked 30-hour shifts, and, you know. In different stages of life, it might be different.
Yeah. So next question then. Is a relationship, is it 50-50? Is it
100.
60-40.
Is it
I'm
60-40?
there.
70-30?
What you mean?
So y'all are just
What was it?
I keep picking them. Okay. I wrote this one. You just literally said this. # grumpy old white man and fine black man's body. Yes. That's mine.
I love that. See,
There you go. You know it's you.
So I'm Joe Budden is what
You
you said. All right.
basically. So what do you think? 50-50, 100-100, 70-30?
I mean, I'm an old school nigga, man. My name is DH, by the way. You understand me now?
I'll tell y'all where that came from later.
But I'm real old school, and I feel like, you know, the man's job is take care of your lady as much as possible. You know, you have stuff that you want to do. However, you have bigger responsibilities than yourself. So I feel like as much as I can bear, that's what I'm going to take on to make sure that you're happy. It don't matter if I'm sleeping on the floor and you're in the bed. You know what I'm saying? You know, if you're happy, that's how I was trained, and that's how I'm going to react. Short story, by the way.
I was about to tell it, but okay.
Story time.
So, you know, Thanksgiving, everybody goes out to see their family, all that kind of stuff like that. So we went to go see some of her family. And, you know, there was one bed available. So we said, okay, yeah, you know, her mom, you'll take the bed. Because, of course, you know, if it was my mama, yeah, mom, you get in the bed. We sleeping on whatever. So, you know, we had to share a couch. And I'm 6'5", and she's, you know, she's tall, too. So it's an issue. So, you know, I wasn't comfortable on the couch. So I was like, all right, let me go get on the small couch. Not comfortable, even more or less comfortable. So I just slept on the floor. You know, it is what it is. As long as she's happy and she's comfortable, I can deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like as an old school dude who was raised by old school, you know, the way of doing things, she's the most important thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I saw growing up, and that's what I kind of like go at now. But now they got this whole thing. It's like, oh, it should be equal. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah.
So that bothers you? The whole let me share in the sacrifice?
It doesn't bother me, but I just feel like as a real man, like, that is your job. You fall on the knife. You know what I'm saying? No matter what it is. Like, you should have been trained that way. Your grandfather should have told you how it works, and that's how it should work. But that's just me. I'm opinionated.
That is why your # grumpy old white man and black.
Yeah.
I get it.
My
But
grandfather's
he is
the
very
same
old school
way.
values.
Yeah.
No, he's
And
not
I'm
alone
cool with
Definitely
it.
the same
I
way.
like
Yeah,
it. I totally like it. I would
Yeah,
much
it's
prefer
not-
someone
definitely.
tell
It's
me.
not always a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not always a bad
Yeah.
thing. And I would much prefer someone tell me, no, I am taking care of XYZ, whatever it is,
then
just have me continue to give, and never receive.
The thing for that though is because for me, King Jaffe, the way I was raised in Zamunda,
I keep forgetting
that. I was raised, my father, the king. You know, when I was a young prince growing up, I learned at a very young age that I do things in extremes. So I've had to learn, being in, the relationship I've been, blessed and fortunate enough to be in right now, that I have to be very aware of it though, because I'm also pretty old school in the way I do things, but I have to be very cognizant of the fact that sometimes I can be so focused on being a provider, so focused on not having her focus or not have to worry or think about anything to where I don't want to self-sabotage myself because she's like, oh, you're so focused on taking care of things, I don't get to see you.
Yep. I told him, I said, lately you've been King Jaffe Kimball, the provider. I need King Jaffe Kimball, my partner, right now.
But y'all gotta understand too.
And if that means I gotta call on somebody to help us out with something, that means I gotta call on somebody to help us out with something. But right now, I need King Jaffe Kimball, my partner. And you're right, you do. It's like
I've like heard her, and I didn't really understand that, like, cause I was thinking exactly just like you, and then it got to a point to where she like, I think after the 37 millionth time, like she said it, like something clicked, and it was like, oh, it's like, man, maybe I am like, I need to step back and reevaluate. So, you're right. I think it's being that provider, like priority. That's priority number one, but also a close 1B. Is making sure that we still have that balance. I'm very big into balance. So if I get too far into one category, which I'm like, it's a walking oxymoron, right? Like I said, I do things in extremes, but I'm focused on balance. So it's like, I mean, it's the constant struggle within myself. So that's. So
it sounds like we're saying it's not always forever 50-50.
Well, it varies. I think.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's 90-10. And then sometimes it flips the other way.
Yeah.
And I just want you ladies to know that, like, we appreciate being needed. Like, we revel in that. Like, I'm taking care of my lady. Like, I don't care if I'm sleeping on a cot. Goddamn it, she comfortable as hell. Like, we get so much off of that y'all don't understand. You know what I'm saying? Like, if y'all need us to do something, if Ariel's like, can you cut the sausage? I'm like, all right, cool, because she never asked me to help her cook. You know what I'm saying? And I ask her all the time. So, like, we get a lot out of being needed. You know what I'm saying?
I learned that. I am learning that.
Yeah, and I've read some stuff and like watched a bunch of stuff. It's like, this is the caveman mentality. Like, you guys want to do everything, all that kind of stuff. I get it. But at the same time, y'all got to stroke our ego, but y'all don't even got to do that much. Y'all just got to ask her to do shit. You know what I'm saying?
Just ask you to do some shit. Fix something.
Because, like, in terms of what you were saying, provider versus partner, I think that Lawrence definitely provides more of a partner kind of feel to him because he's a very emotional man. He's a very emotional man, and in terms of like how we split up that percentage, I also think that it kind of depends on, I don't know, how you're looking at the percentage because like depending on what's going on, sometimes it's 60-40 in terms of emotionality. Maybe in terms of logistical things, it's 60-40 in terms of logistical things, and so it just kind of depends. I think maybe it's based on like strengths versus areas for growth and continuing. Yes, I don't say weaknesses.
Psychologist. Psychologist. Areas of growth.
So Laura's still working on it.
For me, it would be hard to do 50-50 in terms of emotionality because for me, emotionality is an area of growth.
Yeah.
And intimacy is an area of growth. Whereas for him, 80 to 90 could come like that. And it almost is necessary for him to pull back in some terms for me to do what I need to do in terms of let me get up to 60 because I want to be there. I want to be there. So you have to fall back and let me do my growth to meet you.
And I guess that was the question. I didn't want to be the questioner, but
no,
I think that was the question I was going to ask is how do we I guess, you know, be the flexible partner, you know, for both parties, you know, how do you ask your partner to be flexible and say, hey, look, I don't need you to take care of this, I need you to take care of this, which is what you're not good at. How do you adjust?
Well, I say I'm pretty blunt, and that's one thing that I'm working on too. Because I just say it like I feel it, and that's something that I have to fix.
Me too.
So I literally will be like, please do what I'm asking you to do, not help me in the way you think I need to be helped. I know how to speak. I'm not your child. I asked for this. Give me that. But like he said, then I had to take a step back and realize, will he receive it that way? Will he hear it that way?
The irony is, I hit her back with the exact same thing. Who are you talking to? I'm not your child. We got bills due on X, Y, and Z. So you can tell me whatever you need. I can do that after I pay these bills.
Right.
That is too funny.
Right.
Okay, let me see. Who can answer? Who can also answer?
Emotional.
Hashtag OTF gangster.
Who's that?
That's y'all?
Oh, yeah, Orange Theory.
Oh my God.
Why do you call her that?
No, it's just.
It took him like a day to come up with
No,
that.
I was just coming up with something.
That's cute.
But no, she's been going hard on Orange Theory.
That's what's
4 or 5
up.
times.
That's
that wedding fitness plan.
Oh, that's cute.
Different kind of Kanye.
But you can add some, Claire.
Yeah.
Maybe
Claire.
we could work it out.
I think what's challenging for me is like I've been a very independent woman like all my life. I'm type A. I'm OCD. I'm a perfectionist. Like that's me, and I've always been like I don't need a man. I want one, but I don't need a man. And so I don't know how he feels, but like I don't really ask him for much. Like I don't like about like wants or needs, and maybe not needs, but like maybe there's some things that I want, but like I don't know. So it's challenging at times to find ways to like incorporate things that I could have that could be better. I don't know how you feel, but maybe you could chime in.
I'll tell you what though, dating a type A personality or Claire in particular, it's specific things that she will take charge on A through Z. And it's more like, where do I fit in? You know what I'm saying? You can trust me to do, you know, whatever I'm capable.
BCD.
You know, and it's more so she just, or I can say at times it's more so she would just do it herself. And it's kind of like, that's a slap in the face for me. Because it's kind of like, well, where do I fit in? You know what I'm saying? So that can be difficult in terms of dating someone who has that type of personality that can do everything on their own. You know what I'm saying? That can be very difficult.
But tell them it's not about you. It's really me. Like,
yeah, it is. But even more so, being involved with someone that's a type A personality that can do any and everything on their own. It's just kind of like it's like I said. It's kind of difficult to try to say, listen, I can do this just as. Maybe not as good as you, or maybe not to your.
Probably why she doesn't ask you.
Maybe I don't do it to your standard. I might not do it to your standard, but listen, it's sufficient. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what's difficult. It's like I think what I'm going to bring to the table is sufficient, but it may not be up to your standards. So
and then how will I get to your standards if you don't let me try?
Right. That's
about growth.
That's it.
Yes. How do I get there if I never practice?
Okay, hashtag growth. Okay.
And I also think about like when Sue talked about you know, when you have a goal or a dream, it becomes our dream. So if you think about it like that, it's like, okay, well, everybody only has so much energy they can invest into things. So yeah, I might not be able to do X as good as you, but if you allow me to do it and I can show you and build it to a certain level, you can take that energy you put into X and now you can put that into something else. Right. So now I'm actually indirectly helping you get closer to what you actually want to do.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I think about this example I had from a professor in college, a business professor once, and he talked about Tiger Woods and like, you know, his money, but how time is the most important good we have because Tiger Woods could literally on that big ass well shit. It's been a rough couple years for Tiger.
He's shaking back.
He is coming back.
Prime Tiger. Back in the day when he had that really nice house in Florida. If he wanted to cut his whole fucking lawn, he could. But is that the best use of his time? Like, he could pay somebody to do that. So, I mean, would they cut it probably exactly like him? No, but they could cut it, to a standard that, like you said, was satisfactory. And he could then invest that energy and that time and that effort into other things that would be more beneficial. Right. So I think about it like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was good.
Okay. You were chiming in. But so the way I relate to that is that not in a completely controlling way, I don't think. But sometimes, if you know that you can do something in a certain way, or you think you can do something in a certain way in a certain amount of time, because efficiency counts, sometimes you just need to get it done. And I'm not trying to be, offensive and being like, no, I don't need you right now. It's just that, I need to move. I got to, there's too many moving parts. However, I will say that tonight he made y'all rice. Which I didn't ask him to do, but he did it.
Oh, that was good. It was
so good. Rice on rice.
I had rice tonight.
I had rice. It was good.
It was good rice.
Good rice.
He really does help. And sometimes I have to remember exactly what he said was that he really wants to help. It makes him feel good to help. When sometimes I think that I am burdening him with my expectations because I know my expectations is I want it done this way. But if I, like you said, you mentioned earlier, when you have to learn to step back some, when he put the cream, it was the heavy cream in the chocolate. It was taking everything in me not to be wait, no, too much. You know what I'm saying? Right. But to let him get to the point.
Feel her looking at me though. Just
you
funny that you said it.
I know, but I held back. Did I say anything to you?
I knew that you wanted to though.
But I didn't, right?
You
so you know what I'm saying? Well, but it's household things. It's little things that sometimes gives your partner satisfaction, and you just have to just let them do it their way. And if I may have when he wasn't looking, added a little something to it, it doesn't change the fact that he did a great job.
Right.
Wait.
But I will say this. I will say this. We're the same person in that respect because the way she decorated the tree, I had to go back and change it. I
was okay with it though.
She put the lights outside of the thing. I had to add to it.
I was okay with it.
But we're I think we have an understanding there.
We do.
We just gotta have an understanding.
Yeah, you just gotta have understanding. I'm not gonna say nothing to you. I'm just gonna make it.
I'm just gonna do it. Don't say anything. All right. Good night.
That works for me. All right.
Don't
undermine me. Don't take my legs off from me. That's better.
Just go and change it. Don't tell me.
Don't let me know you changed it. She knows that there's certain things she can do without me knowing I'm all right with it.
Right. And she'll be like, babe, what do you think about this?
Right? If you did it.
But yeah, it's great.
If I have junk, throw it away when I don't see you. You can throw my junk away. Just don't let me see you throw my junk away. And I won't feel any type of way.
And as long as I don't really love it, if you know I'm about to go look for it in 20 minutes,
right?
Don't do that.
Exactly, I agree with
that. So, Lil Fantasy, what were you adding?
I was saying that, and I guess it, like you said, it goes back to just knowing maybe your partner and what they want to be there for you for. And so I know for me, just taking it to a deeper level, of course, the psychologist.
Can't help myself.
I had a good friend this week. She lost her mother to cancer. Her mom was given a very short period to live back in January, and she died on Monday. I've never in my life really had someone who I allowed to be there for me in those vulnerable moments. When I've lost somebody who it's been hard, it's difficult, but I know Lawrence. Yeah. And I know that for him, his thing is not maybe necessarily building the table or cooking the rice. Like, that's not his thing. For him, it's about being there for you emotionally, which is extremely hard for me. But in the moment when he just kept asking me, well, do you need me to stay over tonight? Do you need me to drive you back to Lafayette? Like, what do you need me to do? And there was a part of me that was like, I don't want to burden you. Like, it's the middle of the week. This is somebody who died in my life. That doesn't impact you. Like, I can drive there by myself. It's fine. But I think it was just my normal reaction to not wanting to be a burden. But to have him there for me, and come to the wake with me, and to be there with me was satisfying for me. And I think it was... I'm speaking for you. I think that it was really satisfying for him.
When is your birthday, Laura?
December 20th, actually.
Oh, happy early birthday.
That makes so much sense. The way you're describing him.
If I can, you can edit me out if you need.
It makes so much sense. My mom is a Sagittarius as well.
So I'll say that I think some of the emotionality that she talks about that I have obviously comes with the Sagittarius part of it. But I mean, my parents split up right in the time when I was trying to figure stuff out. And so I was in about 6th, 7th grade, and they split up, and he was trying to, like, tell me, you know, why this went from him spending all this time with me to us strictly being on the phone. And so it was kind of like, I don't know what this is. So, you know, you're not here to teach me how to shave. You're not here to teach me how to be a guy. You're not here to teach me how to put on a condom. Like, and so it's kind of like being there for that human aspect of life. I think I had to learn that the hard way by myself, because my mom was like, she obviously had to put on the double standard, because she couldn't be a mom anymore. She had to be a provider. And so, you know, I think it went from me learning how to be like just a teenager or an adult to like learn how to be back a human again. And I hope that doesn't sound weird, but it was kind of, I hope it doesn't sound like alien.
Yeah, it makes
perfect sense. My life.
Yeah, so
my life,
I'm like,
man.
wow.
So it was kind of like when I see people going through human things, you know, I'll go through like moments where I'm like, hey, yo, you want a hug?
Like compassion and empathy.
Yeah.
It's like
It
you giving
just
out the
kicks
shit that you probably would have wanted when you
were
going
through
that
time.
shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And for some people, that's really hard.
Right.
And I think for Black women in particular, only because I study Black women and their experiences, that it's hard for us sometimes to let people in a vulnerable way. Like, not only are you paying my bills, but you want to be there for heart stuff.
You want to be vulnerable?
I don't know, bro. It's getting sensitive.
It's kind of in between both of y'all, because I understand that, but I'm raised in that same, I'm cut from that same cloth, so it's like I'm available emotionally to do that, but I don't want to make you uncomfortable, but I'm gonna at least extend it. Yeah, it's almost like it's like it's just in you. Yeah, you know what I mean. It's not like, because I mean it's genuine. You know what I'm saying? The compassion, the care, the concern is genuine. Right. So it's like, so you know, like you have
all the water.
I just have so much.
All the water. I know. I'm like, I know my water signs. I could tell. I'm like, when's your birthday? Tell me your birthday. I can tell.
I was going to ask a question. Why is that? As far as Black women, as far as vulnerability goes, why is it? Why do you take that position?
I think that I study a lot of Brene Brown's work. I love her work. I read her books. I don't know if
I'm about to go Google her.
I love her work, and she talks about vulnerability as the definition of courage, and it's about showing up and letting yourself be seen. I think for Black women, we've been invisible for so long that for some to show up and be seen is uncomfortable for us. Like, historically, Black women have been in the background, right? So, like, if there's any movement going, it's about the Black man leading this movement. So really looking at the intersectionality of being Black and also being a woman. We are minorities in both status, like as a woman and as being Black. And so we've been in the background a lot and invisible a lot. And we've kind of, in my opinion, taken on this role of carrying everybody else's burdens. And so for us to show up and let ourselves be seen, let ourselves show people the hurt, the shame, the pain, the anger, that's scary. That's not a part of our narrative.
Can I even argue that, like, we're not as like we're not allowed to show weakness.
Yeah, and we're not
because
allowed
we
to show
have
weakness.
been carrying people like since Black women landed in this country, like as slaves, as
well, people have been
as women, the caretakers and all of that.
Well,
like,
it's not only that you've propped up.
Well,
it's not only that you've propped up everybody else, but I would also argue that it's the double standard of like, if you do show that emotion, it's like, oh, you're the angry, it's like, what, I don't get to have emotions too, nigga? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
like,
I agree with that.
I don't get to, so you're not allowed to fully share your experience. Like you're dehumanized and you don't get to, there's no empathy and no understanding. You know what I'm saying?
So if you're not taught, like vulnerability and showing your emotions to people is something that's taught. We're not innately born to know how to do that. Like, so that's something that is taught.
That's
so
true.
To be vulnerable, if you were raised by a strong Black woman, you weren't taught vulnerability. That's not something you were taught. So of course, when you get in a relationship, that requires intimacy, which is inherently vulnerable.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think
it's hard.
And I think for Black men, I mean, I think the common I guess image that we hold up is our moms, our single moms, and so obviously I can't say that my dad wasn't there, period. But I can say that I saw a time when my mom had to shift from being a mom to being strictly a provider, where she had to neglect her needs, her emotional needs, and just be a provider for multiple children and work, multiple overnights. And so it's kind of like looking at that, she even today, she still struggles to express her emotions because she cannot shift from being the provider to being the mother. And so and so that's where me as a Black man, I kind of look to Danny C and be like, yo, how can I be there for you as a man to kind of make you, to kind of play my part and be whole as the Black family again? Because I think to take the next step in our community, I think to make this a bit broader, is kind of like the black man is gonna have to be there to kind of give Black women that space to be, able to express herself emotionally when the professional world, when the regular world, when the fashion world will not recognize her presence. And I think I think that's just been a priority in my life, which has led me to this point. And
that's really interesting too that you say that. It's really hard for. It's cyclical because I sit back and I think of my experiences as a child and thinking about my mom, working 3 jobs, 4 jobs at times, to take care of me. And it's like,
she can't think
there was even possible, decent guys, good guys, that she might have been able to pursue something, but she was so like, I can't pursue a relationship. We have bills to pay. Like the lights are not on right now. Like we're filling water in jugs at the gas station to flush the toilets. You know what I'm saying? And just growing up like that and living like that, I think that does something to you. And it puts you in a very unique relationship, even with your own mother. This, I'm working on not saying the and shit. I
feel like it's church right now.
Right on, baby.
You got it.
That's all right.
Let take your time, baby.
I feel like if you have any emotional concern or appreciation for other people, the fact that she was just trying to provide, like you said, and she had to step outside of the role that, would have allowed her to do a lot of other things.
Only a thing a woman can do, sacrifice her woman needs to, or woman wants, or woman
absolutely.
So tell me
Needs
this.
for sure.
Okay. So we're just gonna go around real quick, and you can complete the sentence however you like, and I'll plug this into the podcast. But anyway, okay. Who is hashtag that's my dog?
Me.
Okay. So you'll start us off.
Phil is.
So Phil, you'll start us off. Okay. You're gonna complete the sentence. Bae makes me blank.
Stronger.
Nice. We'll go this way.
Absolutely stronger. No doubt about it.
She was like, "Oh, I do."
You know. Well, you should know that. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
It's nice, Lovey.
Let's go.
Bae makes me, what's the word? Consider myself.
Okay, millennial woman out here.
They makes me accountable.
Bae does that too. Bae does that too. I got me a good bae.
Take out the trash yet?
Bae does that too.
Not yet. I was about to.
It's in my hand.
Bae definitely does that.
Sorry, Dan.
It's on my way.
I don't know. They makes me feel
Crazy. That's what you said.
no. They makes me feel that I am loved by something larger than myself.
No.
Bae makes me do this pose a lot.
It's a podcast. They can't see you.
It's like the Romeo, the Greco-Roman statue.
You gotta find the
The
word.
hand under the chin. I'm sorry. Bae keeps me on my toes.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Bae teaches me patience.
True. Yes, indeed.
It's a good question, by the way. It's a great question.
I'm glad
I didn't have to go first.
Or state,
Actually,
I should say.
Thank you for going first. I'm like, oh god.
I'm just
That was easy for me.
Bae makes me appreciate passion. Word.
Hey.
That's love right there. They makes me accountable.
Oh, you got a list. Okay. Keep them coming.
I got a list too.
Accountable. Keeps me honest.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I feel like I'm telling her something that like is not really on my heart, and like I'm just telling her, like I know. So the way we got together, like she told me about myself. She's like the first girl to tell me about myself. So I was like,
Oh, that's right.
all right. That's the first. I like that. I don't never hear it too much. So like, she makes me like the things that I say to her. Even if she doesn't say anything, I know what she's thinking, and it bounces off of her, and it hits me in the forehead. I'm like, you're right. That's stupid as fuck. You didn't say nothing, but like, I know you're thinking.
I know you're thinking.
So she keeps me honest in my thoughts, and she keeps me motivated. Cause like, man, y'all don't understand like this podcast stuff. Like, while we doing it right now, it's probably gonna be like an hour long or whatever.
Yeah.
She's gonna sit. She's gonna sit in that corner right there for 2 or 3 days.
Edit the fuck out of that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, I'm home all day. I work right over here. This is my job right here, and I work. But when I see her in here, like she has a day off, and she's in here and she sits down all day long.
You're like, man, I gotta do better.
You know what I'm saying? It makes me like, wow, like she's an inspiration. You feel me?
Inspiration.
Hey. That came from the heart, man.
That was nice, fam.
I saw them heart emojis.
Right.
Heart emojis flying all over the place.
Hey, y'all saw the emoji?
I haven't been to yet.
Sounds color.
Keep it going.
They made me a feminist.
Ooh.
Come on.
Love that.
Speak on it.
Can we say more?
Yeah, I
You
want
gotta
to
say
know.
something
Like,
now.
like
that's a
what's
big
the
topic.
story behind
I
that?
just haven't picked up. I'm kind of private. I don't want to share too much.
Oh.
But
It's all good. I mean, what can you share a little bit of?
So there was a point in time where I thought I was a feminist.
Damn, well.
And then she brought things into perspective and shed light on different perspectives that truly made me a feminist. And I think that just goes to the respect that I have for her as a woman. At the same time, the respect that I also now carry for that I thought I carried, but I don't think to that degree that I should have. And not just physically, all the above. You know? So.
That's nice.
Not real.
That's
John's allies as black men. Like I tell him all the time, like we need that because at the end of the day, like we as women can only speak out so much until black men like come together with us and like we are a team. Like things will not change.
Sure.
And it's amazing how powerful a black male voice is. Like we see it every day. The lack of it, or when it is present. Thankfully, it is present. You know, but we see it every day, and it's amazing how kids, like in their purest form, respond different to the vibrations of a black male. And it's the same in any. We were looking at Vice News earlier, and there's a new young black. Was he the mayor?
Mayor of
Birmingham,
Alabama.
And young black guy, 36.
I think about that.
And just his presence alone in that position. So I think, like, to piggyback just what you're saying, like in any aspect of life, like the black male is, I know that society may like put you down, you know what I'm saying? But the reality is it's because you're so superior.
Yeah.
It's because like you walk into a room and your color, your presence, your energy,
your swag,
you're so superior. Your words, like your cadence, like your heartbeat, everything about you is just like, I tell this what do you call yourself?
PH.
What do you call yourself? Right. What's your name? Yeah. I tell this all the time because, you know, in his field as a young black male, he's rare. And I tell him this all the time, that you don't see yourself the way we see you because you're you. But the way we see you in that room, in that meeting, in that closing, in that negotiation, whatever it is, like, it's really amazing to see a black man there. And so, I don't know what you individually, you know, the guys in here individually, how you see yourself and whether or not it's a burden. But I'm telling you, like, y'all are so dope. You're so dope, and like people see you and they don't know because you're so nuanced. They don't know what they're gonna get when you open your mouth, when you're intelligent, or even if you got a street swag to you. It's hard for people that are not of color to really grasp and understand like your art. And I know I'm speaking poetically because
You're right.
But I'm a writer, but I see you that way. So, you know, sometimes he beats himself up because he's the young black male in the room of all white guys.
They see it too.
You know?
That's why so many traps in place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like,
to keep us below.
Right. And it's like, I wish he could see what I see. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And feel that way when I see what I see. Like, when I see it, I'm like, damn, like, I can't believe you're doing that. That's amazing. Like, I'm so proud of you. Keep it up. Like, represent. Do your thing. You're so smart. And I know to him, it's like, they don't see me. They don't hear me. I have to work harder. But he's seeing that. Yeah. And I'm seeing but you're there. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I don't know even where we got this, where we started. But when I talk, like, black men to me are just amazing. You know, and it's not because of my personal preference. It's just that y'all really are amazing. So, yeah, for real. Like, I don't care what you do, if you're a street sweeper to, you know, an exec, or you're, you know, entrepreneur, whatever. Like, you're just beautiful and, like, just everything. I don't know.
We need everything. That. We don't get that enough.
Last babe.
That's the truth.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Tangent. Okay.
That was perfect.
So the sentence was, babe makes me blank.
Babe makes me introspective. So much more than before. We talked about earlier. We talked about going to bed angry.
Yeah.
And before the conversation.
I don't know if that was the first thing. Yeah.
No, it's not us.
Yeah.
I thought that.
And I think we never want to go to bed angry. Sorry to.
No, you're good.
We never want. No one. I don't think anyone wants But I think sometimes sometimes things just don't get resolved, you know, and it's 4:00 in the morning and people have to go to work, and we know we love each other, and you know, it's just
it's like we're gonna figure this shit out.
Yeah, you just like, you know,
let it go and we'll revisit.
Exactly, you know, let's just table this. And those are the moments, like those are the nights or the wee hours in the morning or when I wake up where like I really like get really deep. And like no one in my life, not a friend, not a family member, never. No one has ever had me dig so deep within myself and like really scrutinize myself the way this man is.
Nice. That's
beautiful.
Yeah, that's a good word.
I love
it.
Beautiful.
That's nice. So we've been talking for a minute. Y'all are awesome. And I just want to throw like this last thought out there because we've had like really great conversation. And I want to get back to the fun stuff before everybody gets all sleepy. I can feel like the alcohol is working. But we, you know, before we turn down, okay. So we have newlyweds. We have soon to be newlyweds. And like the rest of us. And so right. And so I want to hear from you guys, and then we'll maybe chime in later. But just last thoughts. But what is your thought on marriage in like these times? Like, has marriage benefited you for the couple that's married?
In the new age?
In the new age, yeah. Like, how has marriage benefited you? Do you feel like we are taking it seriously enough? Do you feel like you were prepared enough? Like premarital counseling versus and just your family and friends. Like, do you feel like you're prepared? And like, you know, what advice? You know, things like that. Like, what's your take on the new age and marriage?
Y'all gotta go first.
I was about to say,
you have to. That's why I'm looking at y'all like, what y'all think?
Y'all
happy
and y'all married, so like,
yes, you're happy and you're married.
Well, me personally, I can say that this is, I mean, I've seen marriage my whole life. My parents are fortunately still together. I mean, I've seen a mother and a father my whole life. So, I mean, I've had a great example of what a man is, what a provider is, and then what a woman is.
Would you say it's more traditional?
My parents are, honestly, it's not traditional at all. I wouldn't say it's 50-50, but my dad does everything my mom does. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that's affected me in a tremendous way. It's to the point where I'm going to cook and I'm going to clean and I'm going to do everything that a traditional, I don't want to say traditional, that we would say a woman should do. I'm going to do the exact same thing, and the same goes for Tamaya as well. Or what's your name? I'm sorry, Claire would do. Claire would do as well. So for me, I mean, I think I kind of went into it with an expectation of what I thought a marriage should be, and I kind of hold myself and I hold her to that as well. She has definitely, as I mentioned before, she makes me stronger. She makes me better in every way, and she pushes me to kind of go beyond my comfort zone. And I don't know that she even knows that she has that influence on me, but she does. So for me, marriage it's been a blessing. It's been such a great thing. And I think the sky is the limit for what we're going to achieve moving forward. And versus where we are right now, you know, so.
What you think, Claire?
I think with me having like the opposite, like my mom and dad weren't together, like they broke up before I even was born. And me just having like a rocky relationship with my dad. He was like a breath of fresh air. Like he's the only guy I've ever dated that we stopped talking and we didn't stop talking on like bad terms. And what's crazy is we met, 7 years ago?
And then kicked it in.
Yeah, and then I moved away for 3 years and then I came back and then we got together. Like we were kind of dating before when I was in Baton Rouge and he was at Southern when I did City Year. But moved away 3 years, came back and just worked out. But I've never met a man so like loving, so trustworthy, so passionate about me, so like willing to grow like him. Like there's no man like that I've ever encountered. And when it comes to like our relationship, like we see it as a partnership. We see it as opportunities for growth, like you said. We don't shy away from cynicism. We are constantly reflecting on like who we are individually, who we are as a partnership, as a marriage, our goals, and the fact that we are so reflective and so like just like into each other. It just like really, it's like it's nothing like it. And I honestly had given up on love, given up on marriage. I'm 31. And, you know, kind of you get like when things, I guess, you know, I was like in my maybe like mid 20s and I was just kind of like, whatever, it's not going to happen for me. Because you see like people get married at 22 and you're like, that's not happening to me. Oh my God, it's not going to happen. But it just kind of worked out. And it's been amazing. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. And like, there's no one like him and I love him so much. And I just really feel like it was like it was our destiny for us to be together. And he deals with me and he takes like all of me. And I've never met a man that was willing to take all of me because yes, I have some strengths, but I definitely have some areas of growth.
Thank you for that.
Yes, we're going to continue to use that phrase. Yes, growth mindset.
Because we all have areas of growth.
Yes,
we all do.
Opportunities.
Yes, but like I said, we're so reflective, like to the point that like we come up with initiatives. Like we felt like we weren't kissing enough, so we had a kissing initiative, or you know, like little things like that. Or we would argue about stupid stuff, and then I'd be like, wait, we're arguing about you not doing this and me not doing that. Well, why don't we focus on our strengths? So he does what he's good at. I do what I'm good at, and that works, you know, but we're always like constantly growing and constantly pushing each other to be better, and that works. And
so y'all like the Avengers is what you're trying to say.
Yeah. We're a team.
We're a team.
Absolutely.
We're definitely
no
a team.
doubt about it.
Yeah. They may or may not fight crime.
So like, I have a question. So like in a world where like you have people coming out with books and research on like how monogamy is not something that is even of human nature,
it's not natural,
whatever, and like how like you got women just kind of like you know, which I respect, like the
sexual
movement,
liberation
right,
of women,
exactly,
yes,
and the fact that like I can have sex with anybody,
yes.
Like I don't need a man to fulfill my sexual needs, my emotional needs, my whatever needs, like I can do that with anybody. Just with that being kind of like the movement that we're going toward. How did y'all all both decide that like marriage, the institution, because it's an institution, like of marriage was something that y'all still wanted to do and still believed in?
At least for me, it was.
What did you ask for? How'd you pay for the marriage?
Right. Still paying it off. Okay. Not me.
Well, at least for me, it was the example that my parents said. You know, I mean, I saw a man and a woman live together in harmony my parents have been together now for 46 years, I think.
Wow.
And you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so I mean, that's something that,
like, well, there it is.
you know, I grew with that.
Feel like they like each other. Like they still like
They
each
do.
other. Not love, but like each other.
They do.
Yeah, so
they definitely still like each other. And besides that, it's my parents and it's my faith. You know what I'm saying? So my faith tells me that God put her on earth for me. You know what I'm saying? So it's multifaceted. The fact that my faith tells me I should live like this, I should say, and then my parents reinforce that. So that's how, more than anything, I feel like I can be monogamous. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Sid and Juice, what about y'all? Like, what do you?
I was just gonna say, I don't think everything's for everybody.
True.
You know, monogamy might not be for everybody. It certainly doesn't appear to be.
Yeah.
For the majority.
Society. Yeah.
Hey sis, is this your name?
You know, heterosexuality is not for everybody. A lot of things aren't for everybody. But just because, you know, what we're doing is seemingly mainstream doesn't mean that we're just going with the stream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
you've thought about it. It's purposeful.
Yeah. And I'm certainly not someone to just be like, I'm just going to do this because everyone's doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's too expensive to just go along.
It's
not. No. It's way too expensive to get married to just do it just to do it.
Parents still pay for weddings? Is that still a thing?
I don't think so.
Somewhat, yes.
That house.
You know, you got you know, Ariel knows how I feel. Elope, but it's nice, but Elope. So it was a beautiful day, but Elope.
Yo, when I think about that whole process, man, I don't know if y'all think about this, but I think about this record that Frank Ocean has called American Wedding.
I love it.
Oh, I've heard that. That's a good song.
Frank Ocean was my rival high school.
Yeah,
shout out Frank Ocean.
Oh, you a West End?
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
You already know.
Definitely shout out to Lonnie. And I think about that record, and about how we fall so hard into and then so hard out of. And just how for some people that can just be so instantaneous and quick. But I'm a very intense person. I've been told. And for me, me and Amber, we've had this conversation several times. I'm only getting married once. I'm only getting married once. And so, even though we aren't married yet, even when we go out and we're out and about, it doesn't matter where we are. I still refer to her as if she is my wife. Because I honestly can't see myself with anyone else. And so, for me, it is not about necessarily the title.
Right.
That should have been my
Pray
hashtag.
for multiple. Everybody pray for multiple
babies.
pregnancies. I want twins and triplets and stuff. I don't want pregnancies. I would rather have more babies at once than 4 more pregnancies. So pray for me. I hear you.
That should have been my hashtag. But when I think about it, I just really think it's for me probably more so than for me than it is for her. It's more about the commitment in the relationship as opposed to the title. And then definitely just our relationship was founded on being open-minded. So not putting labels or parameters on ultimately at the end of the day, or allowing anybody else, near or far, to define what it is that we have. So, I think at the end of the day, that's what it's about for me. It's about
lullaby.
And it's about
I have the same thing.
And
it went off at 10 o'clock.
And it's about our happiness, and the happiness of our family, specifically now that we're, our son will be 18 months on the 10th.
Shout out Young King. Shout out the Young King.
Shout out to our son. It's about him and his happiness, and I think even about just kind of how we talked about how we pick mates. I remember I had a really good friend. We're still good friends to this day. And she was dating a couple of folks, and she just got tired one day. And she's like, "Man, I'm tired of dating." She's like, "Man, these niggas out here is just playing too many games." And I was like, "Well, a game isn't necessarily a bad thing." I said, "I think it's just about what game you're playing." And I told her, I know what I'm playing. I'm playing Where's Waldo, or like I Spy. If y'all remember those books.
So gotta find it.
I was like,
and you playing for keeps.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, the shit I'm looking for is hard to find. But when I find it, it's only one of one. And when I find that one of one, I'm done.
Nice.
Good.
And that's so funny
but I was
because
like,
we're the opposite of you guys. I came from a family full of marriage. My grandparents, 65 years. My parents are together. My cousins are married. My uncles are married. My whole family is full of marriages.
Everybody.
But I actually am a bisexual woman. And so the relationship I was in before Kimbo was with a woman. And it wasn't because, and I never knew that I was bisexual. Not as a kid or anything. It was just that this person, who just so happened to be of the same sex as me, was somebody who I fell in love with at that time. And so that opened my eyes to me. And so when that happened, I struggle with the fact that is my life going to look like my parents' and my grandparents' life? Yeah. Can I live that way forever? Wow. If I end up with falling in love with a man, will I be able to make that work? Because the relationships are very different. And so we've talked about that as well. I have a friend who, you guys actually know, who is in an open marriage. And nobody knows that. She has a whole mistress and her husband knows about him. And
you go to Colette's.
It's
Hey,
wait, listen.
I should get paid for that shit. Word.
And it works for them. It works perfectly for them and the way that their relationship is. And so for me, I've been challenging myself to the idea of monogamy, because I am one of those people that I'm not following a trend. I'm following me. I've always been a gypsy. I've never before college lived in the same place or went to the same school 2 years in a row. I've always flown with the beat of my heart. And so in those times in a marriage that I know, watching my parents and my grandparents, that get hard and your heart says, or your mind says to go somewhere else, I have to challenge myself to stay and not be that gypsy me.
Yeah.
That I have committed myself to King Joffrey Kimball. And I have to stay committed to King Joffrey Kimball. And so I have to
I love it.
Keep that. And I have to remind myself of that just because of who I am and the person that I have become outside of my family's traditions. Even though I know that marriages are beautiful, I know that they're work. Some of my family's marriages have been since high school, and there's been infidelities that they've worked through. And just knowing that, I think the problem with today and the reason there are so many divorces is because people watch too many movies.
God damn it.
Yes. And if you don't see real marriages, you don't understand how hard and how much work they are to keep together and maintain and make sure that, like you said, not only do they like each other, but they love each other, and you stay together and you made this commitment. And that's the bottom line. And so I think we're there now. But like I said, there were times where I had to hey, no. Not her. Him. Him. You know?
You chose
and generally that's the way it goes for me in my bisexuality. That I feel something, or the femininity that I felt in the relationships that I've had with women is missing from here. And so how do I find that here? Things like that is what challenges me in this relationship sometimes. But I definitely think that when entering a marriage, you have to honor the commitment. And then also, you have to figure out what works for you and your partner. Because like I said, I know 2 or 3 open marriages that work perfectly for them. They've been married for many, many years, and they're doing just fine with the model that they have made for themselves. But the communication, and they brought that up together. They didn't sneak and cheat. They never did those things. They talked to each other, and they decided together. And so understanding that it's a partnership and a commitment to that person. So figure out what works for you two to stay committed to each other. Because it's easy to find somebody who's going to light your fire, but it's not easy to find somebody who's going to be your partner, who can know you and take all of you, like Claire said, who can take
Claire
yes, like Claire said,
like Claire here,
because that person might like you right then because of your redeeming qualities, but who loves you for all of you, the good, the bad, and the ugly? That's usually what marriage boils down to.
Okay, so guys. I'm gonna quote you your whole
No, I just want to
So I'm gonna take last comments from our last hashtag. It's probably in here. Okay, hashtag the rebellion. Hashtag the rebellion. No, I swear I can read.
That's right. That's him. He's rebellious.
I'm like, that's not me. Claire made that for you.
That's the only
last thoughts, newlywed.
That's just what I thought.
Last thoughts.
I'm just playing with you.
Any last thoughts?
This is you. This is actually you.
This is his sacrifice moment
because
right here.
when it was, that's my dog, I made my comment. Now this is yours.
Oh, that's nice. He's giving you his.
Come on, Claire.
I want to say something about monogamy. So, when you think of human beings, like, we are naturally jealous. We are naturally so many other things. But when it comes to monogamy, like, if it is something that you really want, yes, you may want to be out with somebody else. You may want to deal with, have some other experiences with other people, but you have to make a conscious effort and a will to not do those things. And so when people say it's like not natural, yes, there are a lot of things. Like, human beings are naturally a lot of things that we don't like, but if it's something that's worth having, then you will do whatever it takes to do it. And so when someone says I'm not natural, I don't want to be, I can't be monogamous, that means that I am not willing to make a conscious effort to be monogamous with you.
That's
right.
That's what that means. So I just want to put that out there.
Love that.
Like, everybody has the ability to do it. I believe.
Amen.
I like that because there's a lot of things we're naturally
that we fight against.
So you got
so
that's
smart.
the last question now.
Hashtag real quick, I promise.
Who's that? Who's that?
Yes.
That's funny.
Yes.
That's funny as fuck. That's funny as fuck.
Am I lying? No, okay. I call him my turtle. I call him my turtle.
I think you should cut it. I think you should cut it.
I don't think it's his voice.
Yes.
We just
Pastor Kimball.
What's your last thought?
Pastor Kimball. Go ahead on.
That is his last thought.
Let it loose.
All right. But it's never real quick.
Can I say something? Listen, so our pastor does this like every Sunday. Listen, give me 1 more minute.
Please love on him.
And his minute is always like 20
15
minutes.
to 20.
Yeah, it's always that, right?
Love it.
Right, and I feel that about this young brother right here. He's just
See, it's okay, baby.
so smart, so intelligent, and I mean, I don't know that there's a short sentence in this guy. I mean, and that's not a bad thing. But I feel like that has to be his hashtag. That has to be this guy. I don't know that that's him, but that has to be him.
Okay, last one. Guess it's me. What did you write? I don't know. It looks like it fits. That is cute. Okay, I like it because it's me. Hashtag Aquari do whatever I want.
When's your birthday?
January 24th.
Okay.
I know. The three of us here. Like this guy. He's an Aquarius. He has the same birthday as my dad. I'm literally in a relationship with my father. And this is the universe letting me have the last comment on this podcast episode. But I just want to say thank you. So we're going to turn up and have a good time. Have a shot, have drinks. The food is still there. Please eat. Get some cookies, some chocolate strawberries. Yay!
Yo, this was extra dope. I enjoyed myself tonight. This was fun.
Hashtag Black Love. Y'all could have been at the club.
And I definitely want to play.
Black love. It's real. It's real, dog.
Y'all can't oppress this.
We're a testament to black love. All of us in here. I love it.
So as you guys could hear, we had an amazing time, and I cannot say thank you enough to the friends of ours that came, hung out on a Friday night, tired after work and everything, and participated in the podcast. Like, thank you so much. So I know this was a hefty episode, and I have timestamps that you can find on the social media page as well as the blog on the website. So if there's a particular topic you're interested in listening to or a certain snippet, you can easily find it. But thank you so much for listening. Stay tuned. More episodes coming. Thanks, you guys. Bye.